Welcome back to the Leafs Cast. The off season is here. The boys are back, and it is good. It is once again good to be a Leafs fan. Well, kind of. We're gonna get into it. But Stephen Douglas here, joined by Tim and Ryan Allison. Tim, I'm glad to see you made it back for the podcast after Bobby McMahon got traded. By the way, I know, big Bobby McMahon guy, and you considered going over to the Kraken after that trade happened. We appreciate you sticking around, though.
Absolutely. I mean, we made a pact in the fall, say we will not pod until Craig Berube is fired, which is surely going to be imminent, right? And 6 months later, we missed half the season, but we're back.
I say this all the time as a sports fan, a Maple Leafs fan, and I feel like people, you kind of like, somebody who's a fan of some team, and when things are going poorly, you're like dogging on them all the time. But we really are volunteers in this. We are volunteers in being fans of the Maple Leafs, and we watch this team more than anybody else, and just because we're fans of them does not mean that we have to sit through what the Maple Leafs put us through at the end of last season. I don't think that makes me any less of a fan and all of us for deciding for our mental health and just everything. We don't need to be doing podcasts. Nobody would have listened anyway. Who was listening to Leafs podcasts? I wasn't.
Definitely not.
Just the people who don't like the Leafs, who want to hear the doom and gloom of our misery.
If you were tuning into Leafs podcasts on the reg during the tankathon and looking for, I don't know what you were looking for, but you need to do some soul searching. And Tim, wait a minute, we're not potting till Craig Berube is fired. He's still the coach of the Maple Leafs.
He's still the coach, and now the rumors are saying he might still be the coach, which is the most unbelievable thing to me. Like,
I want to get into that.
The most egregious. It's like, it might be the death of the Leafs cast if we said that we are going to keep going until Berube's, unless Berube is fired. It's just like, what are they thinking? Like, is it the same thing? Like, I remember when Treliving came in, he's like, oh, I only have one shot, gonna waste a season of Sheldon Keefe, and then, anyways, it's just ridiculous.
But that's 100% it, isn't it? Like, it's, you fire him now, you hire your guy, then that's your guy. But like, you could have a bad season under Craig Berube, and when Auston Matthews that's probably the big thing we're going to be talking about here. When Auston Matthews is saying, "Oh, I don't know if I want to stick around for the next season," you could say, "No, it's okay. We're going to fire Craig Berube, bring in someone else, and then we'll be good." That was the problem. Like, it's a bullet that you spend to fire your coach. So they're just going to hold on. They're going to wait, and they're going to see. Maybe let's see if they could turn it around, and if not, then at least we still have that bullet in our pocket, and we can pull it next year.
I think it's too early. I think it's too early to say, and they haven't come out and said as much, like, confidence-wise, that they're going to be keeping Craig Berube around. I know that, like, I'm not even sure really where that report is or where that came from, that Craig Berube might stick around. I don't know how.
There's so much just smoke blowing around with this team. Like, I feel like maybe it's when, like, Treliving was fired, and, like, everyone's sources were all of Treliving's guys, and they're all on the outs. So now, like, everyone's just guessing. But I don't know. It feels like there's so many reports that are all conflicting, and, like, I don't believe any of them.
All of them are saying that Berube will be back, though. Like, I don't know. I haven't seen anything that indicates that the Maple Leafs are thinking of switching it up or letting him go. Like, every single source says that.
The fact that he's still here, right? Like, if they had decided, it would have been like a month ago. Like,
I think
lottery, goodbye.
I think, though, in defense of, well, I mean, you didn't have a GM, right? So the Maple Leafs fire Brad Treliving even before the end of the season, and I feel like a handful of the Maple Leafs, whatever remaining leadership members that there were, made the decision that it's not our decision to make. I guess they probably have their opinions, but they were going to wait until the new GM came in with John Chayka and Chayka-Sundin. And I think they're letting them, in part, make that decision. And it's possible. It is definitely possible that everything Ryan is saying.
That totally makes sense, though. Like, it should be the GM who hires the coach.
Sure.
Like, that is the correct approach.
Or makes the decision to fire him.
What they should have done is said, hey, you can hire the coach. You could choose who it is. But it can't be this guy. Like, you go out and pick any coach you want, and that's your guy, and we'll support you in that. But you cannot have Craig Berube, because it just cannot work. Last season was so bad. It was so bad, and it's the same thing as the end of Babcock's tenure. You could see that so much of it is his fault and is the wrong coach. We maybe thought he was the right coach, but he's not. He's the wrong coach. And they should have just said, when they fired Brad, so we're going to fire Craig too. And when we hire a new GM, they can pick a new coach, but it will not be Craig Berube.
Well, what just like worries me is like this season when it's clearly a tank, like you're not going for it. Did Berube, like, how much of a runway did he give our young guys to, like, you know, maybe develop them, see, like, who's real players? But no, he was, like, trying to win every night, it felt like. Like the guys weren't getting the ice time they should have, and now this is the coach that you want fostering Gavin McKenna, maybe? Like, I don't know. It's like, it seems like, is he the future? Is he just going for another tank season? Like, I don't know. I hope it's not just like the Leafs penny pinching on like the cost of a coach, but it's like,
Well, the Leafs cannot at this point be thinking anything tank related at all. I mean, the fact that they, you know, end up miraculously winning the lottery, which maybe we'll get into in a bit, and they, you know, are able to hold on to their first round pick, means that the following 2 seasons of first round picks are now going to either Philadelphia or Boston completely unprotected. So I don't think, and there's no way the Leafs are unaware of that, there's no way that they're going into a season in tank mode. I mean, if they were able to finish in the 5th last place and eventually win the first overall pick in a season that they were trying to win initially, I can't imagine what the bottom is if they go into a season planning to tank. I mean, they might finish in 35th place or something like that. I really have no idea. It's totally possible, Ryan, that your theory makes sense. That's typical safe GM, you know, save my butt thinking. However, I don't believe a ton of what's being said right now, and I really don't think that they're planning on keeping Craig Berube around. I just think that between the GM hiring and everything, and maybe letting this organization look a bit more stable as they're trying to bring in a new GM, I think having, like, also, you know, all this mess that's going on, you might lose your first round pick, and by the way, we don't have a coach right now, was just a ton for attracting the GMs that they wanted. I mean, them being able to even bring in a guy like Matt Sundin, have him move to Canada and, you know, assistant GM or whatever his official role is with the team, I really can't remember, probably doesn't want to walk into something that's in a press, you know, firestorm because you don't have a coach and you just lost your first round pick and all that stuff. So I still think Craig Berube is going to be fired. It's just not
the one
right
like
now.
Thing that does kind of make sense, because like we can talk a bit about Auston Matthews as well, but like there's all these reports saying like, oh, he's unhappy, he might demand a trade, and he's waiting to see what the Leafs do. Maybe he's waiting to see if the Leafs fire Berube, and this is Matthews just feeding stories to the media saying like, get this guy who's been like the coach over the worst 2 seasons of my career out of this franchise, and for some reason the Leafs are just dragging their heels. I don't know. Like, the only thing, like, obviously Matthews hasn't come out to like make a statement, so it makes you think that like maybe either reporters are making things up, which they do sometimes, but like either that or Matthews is just trying to like light a fire under the organization to do something. What could he want them to do? Fire the coach, maybe?
I don't know. I don't think that Matthews is sitting there waiting for Craig Berube to be fired. I think he's sitting there waiting to see what we do in the off season. Like, what did we do last off season? We lost Mitch Marner and replaced him with a pile of pucks, and like we just called it a day.
Okay, they have names, Ryan. They have names.
Well,
okay,
that's what I remember them.
We
as.
named the pucks.
So it's I think he's waiting to see, like, okay, like that's great. We got Gavin McKenna. Like, that will be fantastic 3 years from now when he's like a real impact player. But he's going to take him a little bit to get there probably. So what are we doing next year? Like, right now, who are the free agents we're bringing in? What are the trades we're making? Like, what is the team that we're building here? I think 100% Auston Matthews, be it the captain of our team or not, is only here while we're competitive. Like, I don't think he'll be signing an extension with us because we're not going to be competitive after 2 years from now. Like, we have 2 more years of being competitive, and then it's time for the rebuild because our decor will be over 40 years old, all of them. So it's not. I think that it's just like we're going to make some trades and bring in some guys, and we'll be good for next year. And I don't even think there is a year after that, because then we have to trade Matthews.
I'm really surprised, Ryan, to hear that you're this doom and gloom about the team after, I mean, the best case scenario for how this season ended, like the way that it did, right? That the final game has been played. The far and away best case scenario to walk away from this is that the Leafs now have the first overall pick. They have a lot of cap space. They have a GM that has some people excited. Chayka-Sundin is in the building. There's some bogus offseason reports that Auston Matthews apparently wants out, and you're drinking all of this Kool-Aid where I don't see everything as doom and gloom as you do right now. I mean, to say that in 2 seasons this team's going to essentially be relegated to like an AHL franchise or something.
I just think that, like, I don't know a lot about poker, but if you're sitting there and an ace comes up on the final card, and you're like, that's great, that's Kevin McKenna, but in your hand you have like a 2 and a 7, and who cares about the ace? Like, you still don't have too much to go on. So, like, I think that before we won the draft lottery, we really didn't have anything, right? Like, the season that we just had, like, it's just brutal, and the management, like, we haven't even got into the lack of confidence that I have in our ownership and our new GM, and, like, I don't know. It's just, there's nothing about the team that I would say, like, ooh, we're going to have more success now than we've had over the past decade with this team. And Gavin McKenna is great, but, like, he's not going to be leading the charge season 1 probably, and, like, maybe season 2, but probably not till season 3. And by then it's too late. Like, our team is old. We're the oldest team in the league.
It's so hard to judge this past season, though, because it's such, like, an abysmal failure on management. Like, it's actually laughable that Treliving made 0 changes to the roster the whole year. Like, we could see the team, like, was not a good fit under Berube within, like, what, 2 months? Like, the same time that they fired Babcock that one season, November, was the time to fire Berube. That's when you could have made changes. And so this past season, you had, like, 6 or 5 months of a team that doesn't care about the coach, is not the right coach. You had, like, several devastating injuries. You had, like, goaltending wasn't there, obviously. And so, not to say that, like, this is a contending team that finished 5th bottom in the league. It's saying that, like, okay, this team does have some pieces. They let this season go and did nothing to save it. They said, like, oh, we've tried nothing. We're all out of ideas. Like, just horrible mismanagement by $1 billion company. Like, it's ridiculous. The Leafs cast could have done so much better than what these guys, which, like, should be the best in the world, is, like, who's hiring this premier franchise, and they literally did nothing.
But I think, but, like, you say, you get mad at Brad Treliving for not making any trades, and that they didn't fire the coach. I don't think that he was allowed to make any trades or fire the coach. Like, I think that that's coming from above Brad, the direction of, like, yeah, like, we gotta hold, we gotta wait.
No,
we can't let. Yeah, I think it was. That's the same ownership that's making the shots now.
Yeah, but we can't be doing this story again like we did with Kyle Dubas, where all of Kyle Dubas's flaws were Brendan Shanahan's and solely Brendan Shanahan's. I mean, I think Keith Pelly, you know, he hired Brad Treliving because he has no hockey input, and that was Brad. I think that was Brad. I think I don't know what the deals were that would have been available to be made. I think
literally anything.
And I'm not even sure I want to spend a bunch of time trying to think for what Brad might have been thinking. I think he just was bad at his job, wasn't able to make any deals, or somewhat believed that this team was going to be able to turn things around last season, but it didn't happen. But I just cannot sit here and think or be so focused on how terrible I think the team's going to be next season when we're not even into the off season. Like, we don't even know who's going to be back, traded for a conditional 7th round pick the second the Stanley Cup is hoisted by somebody else. I mean, there's we have a brand new GM in that certainly saw all of these things, does not plan on having a team that's going to finish in the bottom 5. And yeah, things were absolutely awful, and it was the wrong group put together, but there's no way that they're going to roll back really anything even similar to this same group, right? There's no way.
You say that, but like more than half of our team has no trade clauses. Like it's not an easy thing to just turn over the roster and get better at the same time.
You can get around things like that. I mean,
and get better at the same time. That was the very important part of that question. Like,
well, cap space is an important asset that the Maple Leafs have a lot of. Now, granted, a lot of the teams in the NHL have a lot of it.
But if a lot of the teams have a lot of cap space, then is it not an important asset? Because all that means is that when the cap is going up and all the teams have room to spend, is that the free agents just ask for more money. And even though there's not super great like it's a weak free agency this year, we're going to have to pay them like it's a strong free agency this year, because that's just what the competition is going to be. That other teams are out there. People don't want to be left with no players left. That was us last year, where we're just like, well, I guess we don't get anybody, and they're going to be paying up, and we're going to have to pay up to get average players.
Is that an upgrade? I would say after last season, I would take some average players.
Players. I can't be projecting on what I think next year's Maple Leafs are going to be until we have even a remote idea of what that is, and we just don't. Like, we don't at all right now. We sure, if the Leafs roll out the same crew plus Gavin McKenna and Craig Berube is the coach, no, I don't think they're a cup contending team. I suppose if a bunch of the players that were bad last year decide to be good all of a sudden, they could be a playoff team or something.
Oh, you mean like Auston Matthews?
Well, yeah,
but to put it in perspective, we're probably going to have a team that's competing for a playoff spot next year. Even if we do roll it all back and you just add Gavin McKenna and Craig Berube still the coach, just from the sake of, like, there were so many unlucky things that happened last year. We had brutal injuries last year.
No goalies.
And like, it could happen again. We have an old team, so like that's what happens when you have an old team. So it could happen again. But we're probably going to be competing for a playoff spot next year. But, like, you're kidding yourself if you think the Maple Leafs have a serious shot of winning the Stanley Cup next year. Like, it's just not true. Like, I've been watching a little bit of the Stanley Cup playoffs this year, and all these teams, like, I watched a bit of that Montreal-Buffalo game the other day where Lane Hudson just, like, walked in, broke a guy's ankles, then passed it over to Cole Caulfield, and he scored a goal. I've been watching the Maple Leafs in the playoffs for the past 10 years. I have never, ever seen our defenseman do what Lane Hudson just did. Never, not once. Not even Morgan Riley at his prime could do that. And I'm thinking, like, we need that. We're not winning anything without a defenseman like that. And you know how many defensemen like that there are available in the market? None. You cannot get one. So I don't really know. But maybe now that we got Gavin McKenna, maybe that opens the door. It's like, okay, let's trade a Knies, let's trade a Cowan to get a defenseman. Like, trade one of our big pieces up front to do something like that. But it's not like we're super deep up front either. Like, we still probably have Max Domi in our top six, which is a disaster. So I don't know.
I do laugh. Like, it feels like, I forget if it was one of 17 or 18. One of the other years where we have like the trade proposals online, all of them was like, take our 8 underperforming players and combine them into one superstar talent, throw in a conditional second rounder. And it's like, no, it's not gonna happen.
But we don't know. There could be, as far as the trade market goes, I mean, there's a large, array of teams that thought they were going to be playoff teams that have good defensemen, that were in a similar situation to the Leafs, where they either made the playoffs and, sucked like Dallas, or missed the playoffs altogether, that expected to make it, a team like the Kraken. And who knows who's available, just a team that's looking for a shakeup similar to what space the Leafs fell into. I mean, it's really more of a question is, do we, like, now that moves will be made, I know moves will be made, do we trust that John Chayka and Matt Sundin are the right guys to be able to make those decisions? Just assuming, for the sake of the argument, that no other weird factors in Toronto are pulling any strings. No Keith Pellys, no Bell executives or anything like that are pulling the strings. If John Chayka and Matt Sundin are the ones deciding who on this current Maple Leafs team stays, who goes, and what's the identity of the team that we're looking to bring in, and there's no no Berube or any of those kind of things. That's the situation that I think. Do we believe that John Chayka and Matt Sundin have the stuff to find those guys?
I want to give Chayka a shot. Like, I know, like, when he was announced he was hired, like, there was a surprising amount of, like, backlash against it. Just, like, you in the internet these days, you can't find people that agree on anything. And that was seen the universal, like, hate for that hire. But it's, like, I look back at, like, when he was on Arizona, and just every single story that came out of that was just, like, total dysfunctional ownership, total dysfunctional organization. Like, how do you have
familiar?
Yeah, I know. How do you have?
Oh, I don't know if it's the same. I mean, they were.
No, it's.
They were
different.
moving
Like,
buildings
how do
every
you put
year.
How do you put a 26-year-old guy, first job in hockey, and put him in the most dysfunctional environment possible, and expect him to do a good job? So, like, I write off, like, everything about that Arizona team, and so it's like, granted, it's like, do I have much hope for, like, oh, here's why he's gonna be great? No, I don't know. Like, he seems like an intelligent guy, but, like, I just, like, I don't look at his time in Arizona as a reason to, like, write him off. And
but
I do still kind of
feel like, all you can do is judge based on what you've seen. Like, it's like any of the players that were on Arizona, where it's just like, oh man, they really sucked. Well, you know, like, they were on the ice for a lot of goals against. Oh, but, like, it was just Arizona, so, like, you know, you can't really judge it. Well, like, maybe a kind of can. Like, he was on the ice for some goals against.
No,
maybe
you
had
can't.
some issues or something.
This is what happens. Like, all the GMs that get fired, they do a horrible job, they get fired, and they get hired by some other team. Like, did you look at Brad's moves in Calgary?
Yeah, so why are you supporting
that
that
franchise
then?
into the ground?
That's what I'm saying. That, like, he's only done bad things. There is zero good in his resume of, like, the trades he's made, the draft picks he's made, the culture he built around his team. Like, all of it was horrible. And, like, yes, the ownership around him was bad as well, but, like, that doesn't mean that it's not his fault too. So when I look at it, say, like, okay, he's hired by the Toronto Maple Leafs, let's try and find a reason to be excited for that.
I'm excited it's not Brad. Literally anything else could have been better than, like, guy, he made one trade the whole year.
I know you're saying that, Tim, but I have no idea what about this is better than Brad. Like, why?
Well, no, I'm on Tim's side here. I mean, there's no way. Like, Brad did literally nothing, and he's of a different style of GM. Like really, I mean, the expectation of Chayka is that he's going to be more in the Dubas mold than the True Living mold.
Did not Brad trade away Fraser Minton in an almost unprotected first-round pick to get, like, what turned out to be an average defenseman, and another first-round pick to get Scott Laughton? Like, it's not like Brad did nothing. Brad did horrible things. Like, and I'm just saying that, like, there's nothing about this man's career that should get me have any sort of optimism and hope for the things that he's going to do in Maple Leafs. And it's not fair to just write him off and say he won't be good. He could come and make some great trades. Maybe he's learned something from running a Wendy's the last 5 years and he's going to do some stuff. But there's right now, like, no, there is no hope brought by the GM hire.
I am more hopeful than I was, but before he was hired. But I mean, yes, like, I would have liked maybe this. Well, I forgot his name. The assistant out of Dallas. Like, yeah, that's a successful franchise. Maybe he'd be better. But, like, I don't know. Like, I think Chayka is, like, an intelligent guy. Like, with the Leafs, he'll have, like, all the resources available. I still don't really know what to make of Sundin either. Like, no experience running a team, or, like, who knows what he's even doing. But, like, he's going to have no shortage of, like, intelligent advisors surrounding him. And so, like, I don't know.
What's interesting, though, about the Sundin aspect of it, because, like, it is twofold, right? I mean, they were announced at the same time. I listened to the John Chayka interview, and Elliot Friedman asked him, like, if you want to make a move and Matt Sundin doesn't, what do you guys do? And he said, we don't make the move. Like, that's it. And so it seems like there's going to be a lot put on Matt Sundin's plate for, like, responsibility, but as Tim
but they
said,
didn't even
like,
stop there. They said, like, well, what if you disagree? And they were like, we won't disagree. It's like, yeah, you might disagree on some stuff.
But I'm
like,
saying,
are you living
like,
in the clouds?
He hasn't been in North America. He hasn't been really that involved in hockey making decisions. And sure, he can say he knows everything of what a Maple Leafs team should be. Like, he had some success when he was in Toronto and in his NHL career, and he was a great player. But when Ryan's talking about like Lane Hudson, there wasn't a defenseman in the NHL that played like Lane Hudson when Matt Sundin was playing hockey. Like, it's just a different game than it was back then.
Yes.
And so there's guys right now that would have had a ton of success in, you know, the mid to late 2000s or I guess just all the 2000s, like when Mats was really going in the NHL, but it's a very different sport now. And so I'm not so sure what he's going to have to offer from a decision-making standpoint. Like, to really make the kind of decisions that you like, the decisions to make about who you're bringing in for trades. Like, you have to know the players. You have to know what they actually, like, watch them and know what they're actually doing. And has Matt's been doing that? I don't know.
Maybe, but like that's what your scouts are there for as well. Like you have armies of people that are here, like, looking at player evaluation.
Yeah.
Look at all, like, you know, your data guys looking at the stats. Like, the person at the top is just like compiling all this and then deciding to go or no go. Like, Matt Sundin is like not necessarily going to the other games and keeping track of, like, oh, that was a crisp pass that this guy made. It's like, no, he's people, and those people have people that tell him these things.
The thing that I'm worried about the Matt Sundin hire is that it was more just a service of, like, the fans love this guy, so we're going to do it just because the fans will like it. That's what kind of worries me. Like, I remember when Man of Steel, the Superman movie, was coming out, and every trailer had a big text, executive producer Christopher Nolan. And I swear he probably had, like, no input on that movie, but he just had his name attached to it because he was the big name, and everyone's like, oh, Christopher Nolan's involved, this must be great.
Yeah.
So all of Leafs Nation just loves Matt Sundin, Legends Row, and, like, the beloved captain, and now he's coming in, like, oh, we all love that. And really, I wish they just hired someone who's just, I wish I never heard of him, but he was the best guy possible for the job. And maybe Mats will do a great job. Like, I don't know. He's never done it before. He's never done anything remotely like it before. Maybe he'll do a great job. But, like, similar to Chayka, there's just no reason for me to be like, I believe he'll do a great job, because he's never done it. He's never done anything remotely like it. So I don't know.
Maybe they just need Sundin to sit in on the contract negotiations, and it's like, Matt Sundin is asking you to take a discount, please. And it's like, oh, okay. No, it's a different thing. It's always people just say, like, oh, let my agent do all of it so I can just make the most money. And I don't know. I don't think Sundin ever took a discount to play for the Leafs either. So,
well, it's part of his time in Toronto, there wasn't even a public salary cap and stuff. So who knows how much money he was raking in. I'm not saying that I'm Mr. Optimism and that the Maple Leafs are going to be the best team in the NHL again next season, but I look at what's happened between getting the first overall pick, probably bringing in Gavin McKenna, a new GM who I'm hoping and Tim is hoping is just the polar opposite of what Brad Treliving was, and a new coach is going to be enough to keep this team interesting. Like, they can't afford to bring in a GM. There could have been 5 GMs that came in there and said, hey, if I get this job, we're rebuilding, and that's what's happening. Because the Leafs have no first-round picks for the next 2 years. And you just can't. Like even if that were an enticing option, if they had those picks, like, they don't, so you can't. So this is what they can do. And what they got with the first overall picks, really exciting, really interesting. Brad's going to be gone. I know it. Ryan, I know Brad Treliving is not going to be employed by the Maple Leafs here soon. And if it doesn't, I'll get in my car and I'll drive up to the north.
You're talking about Craig Berube?
Yeah, who's I saying? Treliving?
You talked about Brad.
I'm getting confused with all the various large white men with gray hair that were employed.
Craig Berube getting fired would be a very large first step, but, like, firing Brad Treliving was a very large first step, but hiring John Chayka, I do not think advanced it at all. It just remained in the same spot of inadequate GM, and you should do better. You are the Toronto Maple Leafs. You are the NHL franchise. Go get the best GM, the best coach, pay them 5 times the amount as any other person. Like, this is your flex that you have, and they're not using it. They're getting inadequate personnel. So we'll see.
Probably.
Like, I'm even looking at what like the other teams are that we're going to be competing with. Like, I think we're solely passed by Montreal and Buffalo. Like, they are just better than us at this point. Tampa, for some reason, just keeps being good, even though they're old like we are, but they're probably still above us. I don't know what Ottawa and Boston are, but like, to me, we're a wild card team, or like fighting for a wild card team anyway, and that's kind of what we are.
But Rye, we don't know. We just don't know. There's so many pieces that have yet to be added and changed on this team. We cannot be focusing on right now what we think the Maple Leafs are going to look like next season. We can on the free agency pod, but until then, I can't agree or disagree with you that hard. It's too soon.
If we lost our first round pick this year, we dropped to 6th and gave our pick to Boston. Like, what would your level of optimism be there? Like, we get no first round pick. There's no help coming this year in terms
Very
of
different.
young talent, and the GM we hired has no success in the NHL, and the president we hired has no experience in the NHL, and we still have currently the exact same roster that finished 5th last in the NHL, the oldest roster in the league that is all a year older now. Like, to me, we're still a 5th last or worse team in the NHL after that. And I don't think getting Gavin McKenna puts us into the position where it's like, to me, getting Gavin McKenna advances us to now we're a wild card team, like, if it all goes okay here. But we're still significant pieces away that we still don't really have trade or capital to bring in. Significant pieces away from becoming a cup contender, which, like, if we're not trying to be a cup contender, what is the point? Like, I don't care about making it to the play. Doing what Boston did this year, turning it all around, they made the playoffs again, lost in round 1. What is the point if that's what our future is?
Well, Ryan, what you've described is like there are 3 teams in the league that are cup contenders. Like, you can't just say like I'm only going to watch the Leafs if it's going to be a cup contender year. Or
No. You're talking about there's 3 teams in the league who are cup favorites. That's different. You like for sure. Like, you're talking about like Minnesota, Colorado, and I don't know, Carolina maybe, or maybe you're talking about Dallas. But like, I would take being in the position that Buffalo's in, or Montreal is in, or even like, I don't know, I would say.
So Ryan, are you in favor of trading Auston Matthews? Like, blow up this whole team because like we're not going to be favorite for the cup.
I agree completely with what Steven said. You cannot do that this season because you don't have a draft.
But you just said, what's the point?
So you cannot do it this season because you cannot do it because of the mistakes that were made by Brad, that they traded away too much of the future, all unprotected, and so now you burned yourself. So yes, what is the point? We're just going to be a middle team that loses. But I do think that we have one more year, and then you do have to trade Auston Matthews, even though you're going to have a year of an unprotected pick, because otherwise he's walking for nothing. He's not going to decide after that.
Tim, can we do a little sidebar, just you and me?
Oh,
yeah. What do you want to say?
So it's Ryan's birthday, and I thought he was going to be in a better mood than this.
Well, here's the problem: the Leafs are a very polarizing subject right now.
Yeah, but I just thought, he's a different guy some days, and I thought
I've actually had a great birthday so far, and this is actually kind of bringing it all down a notch. I don't know why.
I thought Ryan was going to be in a different mood, and I was like, "Hey, let's pod. It's Ryan's birthday. We haven't podded in a while. Let's get on the mic." And then here's Ryan saying, "You won't have any first round picks, but still blow it up, and I won't watch it unless they immediately become a cup contender. And the only thing that can help that is you have to get a generational talent, and they got that with the Gavin McKenna pick, but it's still over. It's all over because they're old. The Gavin McKenna pick
brings the smallest amount of hope, and like you look at the
team is old.
The Islanders
GM
last
is young.
year. The Islanders last year were supposed to be trash. and they get a generational talent of Matthew Schaefer, who's fantastic and almost brought them back to the playoffs single-handedly, basically. What else does that team have? Nothing. So, like, yeah, Matthew Schaefer might come in and, like, maybe he'll prove everything up. Maybe he is enough. Maybe that's just the piece we needed, a Matthew Schaefer all these years. And that would be great. I would love to be wrong.
It's interesting. It's too soon to tell. I mean, the current state, though, yes, we're all in agreement on this, that they can't blow everything up. If that happens a year or two down the road, sure, that's a different conversation. Or maybe it slowly happens over the course of a season or something. I'm not even really sure. But it can't happen right now in the offseason. Now, I mean, Auston Matthews, if any of this, if where this smoke is, there is actual fire, and there's reporting out there that Auston Matthews is considering not being with the Leafs anymore, that changes a lot of things. Then your hands are kind of tied. I don't
Maybe
necessarily believe
year.
what I'm hearing right here.
I don't know. If November of last year rolled around and reports came out that Matthews wanted management to, like, do something, maybe that would have helped the team. Anyways.
I mean,
see.
he was.
I still don't
there
think
was
that,
a photo yesterday. Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I would say I still don't think that Matthews is actually like, all right, I'm team captain, but I've given up on this team. I think it's just like a ploy to get management to, like, do something.
I don't know why you think that, though. Like, why does Matthews want to stay in this clown circus of an organization?
I mean, it's
no, like, it's for sure on the down. Like, it's not like we have a young team that's only get better and better or whatever. Like, limited time left, and he obviously wants to win.
Does he? I've watched 8 years of Matthews.
Sorry,
debatably wanting to win.
Priority 1 wants to get paid. Priority 2 wants to get injured and take a vacation in Germany. Priority 3 wants to win.
Well, if he just took the captaincy away from John Tavares and decided I'm going to just be a passenger on this team if it's good around me, and he has no intention of being like the driving force to them turning things around, then yeah, he does need to go. But I'm having a hard time believing that, you know, Auston Matthews is a guy that, like, feels like generally not everybody's. No, we don't always know what's going on with him, whether it's with his contract negotiations, whether it's with his injury status, anything. And now all of a sudden we know everything that he's doing when he's literally in Arizona celebrating Mother's Day with his mom yesterday. And reports are coming out that, like, he's texting Friedman, like, hey, this is the situation. I really want Brad gone. Or not Brad. Oh, my gosh. I want Berube gone and do this and that. I don't believe any of it. I don't. I mean, if he thinks that way, that's possible, but I don't believe that there's any legitimate leaking going on. This is out here. I think it's just normally the Leafs are the talk of the town right now because they're in the playoffs or they've just had a catastrophic failure and there's nothing going on, and the Earth, to keep it on its same course, needs to have some Leafs in the news, and I think that's what it is right now.
Heaven help Gavin McKenna. Though it'll be interesting if the Leafs take Stenberg with the number 1 pick. I'll know it's like, all right, Sundin is running the show. We are bringing in all the Swedes.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty confident it's going to be McKenna. I mean, he's an excellent player. He's been the guy for so long.
I remember when Auston Matthews
for some reason
was getting drafted, all the talk about, like, oh, it might be Laine, it might be Patrick Laine that gets drafted. I remember just thinking, like, don't do it. Just take the sure thing. Take the sure thing, please.
Well, going into the season, it was actually a clear 1-2 of Gavin McKenna and Keaton Verhoff. Mm-hmm. And, you know, when you're talking about a legit defenseman coming in, I mean, Keaton Verhoff was absolutely that going into the season. He's humongous, Western Canadian guy. He did the same thing McKenna did, and he came down to the States to play college hockey at North Dakota and had a good season, but not nearly the caliber of season that he was having in junior. Learned a lot. I saw him literally play live, and the appearance is that, like, he might need a little bit more seasoning in, you know, the NCAA or somewhere else before he's ready to make the jump to the NHL. But I don't know. Maybe the Leafs look at it and say that's the guy that we need, right? Even though we're picking first, we're taking a guy like that. I'm not sure.
The problem with defensemen is they take even longer, usually, other than Schaefer. But they take even longer to come into the league and to be impact than a forward will, right? Like a forward, you can kind of shelter them and just like put them in the offensive zone and they'll get their cookies. But like a defenseman, like, I don't know, I feel like it'll be 4 years before we're seeing any defenseman they draft making a difference here. And then it's really too late. So
I think the expectation is that they'll just you're taking the best player available,
Yes.
and that's it, and you'll
you
just
don't
figure it
draft
out
a
from there.
position. Yeah, you just take
Because
the best.
what if he comes in and he's electric and he's awesome at what he is, and then you can take one of the a different forward on this team, and trade him for a good defenseman. I mean, I like a lot of the guys in this team, but who's to say that they don't trade literally any of them? Nyes, Nylander, Domi, any of our superstar talents,
Domi
right,
would be
for a defenseman
great.
from somewhere else. So I'm sure they're just going to take Gavin McKenna and not overthink it. But I suppose anything's possible. So
Anything's possible, Ryan.
Man.
Remember that.
Ryan is just, I don't know. He's been watching too much Jays collapses. Watch the
Don't
Raptors
get me started on the
lose.
Jays.
The
The
Leafs are
Raptors,
brutal.
that was pathetic. The Raptors took a page out of the Leafs book for Game 7 performances. Yikes.
I'm sorry, Ryan. I shouldn't be bringing all this stuff up. And Ryan's aging too, and I think he's maybe having some reflection of some of the things that he focused his life on for the first 30-something years of being alive to now that he enters the second half.
Are you
maybe
ready?
what's the
Are you
new
ready
focus
for
is
an
gonna be.
aspect of positivity here? You know what I'm excited for?
I'm starved for it.
I feel like for the past at least 5 years now, Game 1 of the regular season is just like, here we go again. Like, it's just the boys are back. It's gonna be the same thing. Let's see what happens. And like, regular season doesn't matter. Let's just wake me up when we get to the playoffs. That's been like 5 years now. This year, I am genuinely excited to watch Game 1 and presumably to watch Gavin McKenna play. Like, do you remember Auston Matthews' first game? Are you kidding me? Do you remember Auston Matthews' first game?
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to see Gavin McKenna, assumingly that's who we picked.
I don't know.
Put
Is
on a
Craig,
Leaf
Bru-
jersey.
if Craig Berube is behind the bench, Ryan? Gavin McKenna might be in the press box.
And this year the games throughout the season matter. Like, I think we're going to be fighting for a wild card spot, and like that's a position we haven't been in a long time.
boy.
So it'll be just like by the end of the season, it'll probably be exciting. It'll be like, are we going to make the playoffs here? And even though like I talk like a depressed Leafs fan, like as soon as the playoffs roll around, I'm going to be all in and screaming at my TV for the Leafs to win the cup. Like, give me a break. Like, you can't change us. Like, we're still here. We're still podcasting. We're still deranged Leaf fans, and that will never change. So, we'll see.
I think there's going to be a lot. I mean, the playoffs still have probably another month to go or so, and there's probably not going to be a ton of like moving and shaking going on in Leaf land in the next couple weeks, and we're going to learn a lot about this Auston Matthews stuff too, if there's legitimate fire where this smoke is coming from, but I don't believe it. So it's I think Ryan, I'm glad to hear you have this little bit of optimism. That really helps me out, and I don't know, I'm intrigued to see what they do next. I mean, we're here saying what we think John Chayka and Chayka-Sundin may or may not do. They've done literally nothing except for win the first overall pick since taking this job. So we'll see what the first move is.
It gave me a smile to see Matt Sundin smile when we got that pick. I liked seeing him up there. I was like, that's my childhood captain right there. I like it.
Yeah,
12.
and so we'll be able to, I guess, judge what we think they're doing in the future off of anything they do now, and we're going to be watching the moves that they make like a hawk, and because I'm sure they know the stakes as well. And the Leafs are in a weird situation, but could be worse. Could absolutely be worse. You could be Vancouver. Could
Yeah, you're
absolutely be so much worse. Oh my goodness. So.
All right. Well, wrapping
That's
up
all I got.
this pod, first one in a while. Maybe we'll be back. Maybe Berube will be fired. Well, emergency pod.
Oh, we're gonna. If Ryan's in a good mood, I'll pod at any time. If Berube gets fired, we're getting Ryan live in the pod right now.
All right.
So, all right. Thanks for tuning in. Stay tuned. We'll be back for sure. It's the off season. I love off season pods. I love debating with you guys. And look for Craig Berube to be fired. Maybe the Leafs win another first overall pick. Who knows what's going to happen? But stay tuned and watch some hockey. It's been really good playoffs. So signing off, the Leafs cast. Good night.